Love Island is an absolutely amazing British reality series, or originally British. They have like every country now, and I've watched most of them. But I do find that it is very difficult for some people to get into it because it can be slow at times since they're filming everything day to day. So you're not just getting drama, cut, like you would in The Bachelor or Real Housewives. You are getting a little bit more of the day to day, and I love that. But if that's difficult for you to follow, you're in luck because I'm about to break down all of the drama that happened in Love Island UK season 2. Obviously, this will by no means be short, but as long as it is less than 43 hours, I have saved you time. And while you may have seen the more recent seasons or even the most recent season of the US, which was absolutely glorious, you probably haven't seen the early UK seasons unless you are a true day one fan of Love Island, because it's no longer available on the Hulu Disney Plus bundle. Why? Because in the early seasons, they were drinking constantly, no limit. They were smoking constantly, and all of the gossip went down in the smoking area, okay? They were talking very casually about hooking up, swearing a lot, and they showed everything to the point that maybe they shouldn't have. Trust me, you will understand when we get into that. They showed a lot. So now we need to get into the disclaimers. And you might be thinking, that's so silly, Lulu. You don't need to make disclaimers. That is going to make the intro so long. And I agree with you, and yet I do. And you would understand why if you had seen my TikTok comments, okay? But if you want to fast forward through this, if you feel you have the critical thinking skills to keep going without this, you are free to fast forward. I'm sure I will put the timestamp up. But if you do want to write a mean comment later, I implore you to come back here first, okay? Because maybe these disclaimers were for you after all. Number one, obviously, this is going to be full of opinion. I can't keep it out. I'm very passionate about this. Second of all, I don't claim to fully understand UK culture and slang and customs and all of that. I am but an American, okay? But I am going to try and explain my interpretation of what the terms mean based on me having seen a lot of these seasons of Love Island UK. And if I'm wrong, hey, feel free to laugh at me and feel free to comment and correct. That's okay. I also want to just give a quick shout out to everybody that I love on YouTube who I'm sure have all inspired me. I'm probably going to put them on the screen right here. I'm a viewer first and a creator second. So I urge you to check out these people because they're awesome. A little bit of a heavier disclaimer. Caroline, the host, who I don't have a picture of, but she's the host of the season, as well as Sophie, pictured over here in the blue background. They have both since passed, since this season aired in, I think, 2016, and since I saw it. I didn't want that to go unacknowledged, but I am not going to talk about it in this video. There has been lots of videos done on the issues with Love Island during the season and after the season. And I think that those people have done wonderful jobs, and I don't have anything to add to that conversation. And frankly, I really don't feel comfortable right now talking about that. So I am just treating this as one piece of media, and we are looking at that alone and recapping it. Okay, I just want to have fun. Please respect that this is my free time, okay? Also, just because I say that I like one of these characters does not mean that they're going to be a good person all the way through. I'm just giving you a heads up on that. Every single person who goes on this show is a deeply chaotic individual. And that's just something that comes with the territory. That's the nature of the beast. But maybe I like them because complex characters are so interesting and so much fun to watch. And lastly, just a quick reminder that I too am a flawed individual. I am capable of making mistakes. I'm not claiming to be perfect at all. I'm just a friend wanting to chat. Okay? And with that being said, I have my drink here. Just off camera is a box of chocolate chip cookies and some Takis. So get your beverage ready. Get your snacks ready. Get started on your chores. Get your craft ready. We are getting into it, okay? So the whole concept of this is meet new singles, pair up, recouple, find love. Maybe get money. People can get kicked off in a variety of ways if they do not end up with a partner during a recoupling, if the public kicks them off in a vote, or if the Islanders kick them off in a vote. And the winning pair, who's chosen by fans in the end, gets a cash prize, but only one of them gets it, and then they decide whether they're going to split it or keep it for themselves. So basically, do you want love or money? That's really not the point of the show, and nobody seems to really care about that part. Maybe in the early seasons, though, but not really. Some things that they do throughout the show. During the day, they are going to do challenges, which are either like food or stirring up shit. They're going to have fights. They're going to lounge by the pool. They are going to gossip, gossip, gossip. So much fun. And during the night, they're going to have parties. They're going to fight, but drunk this time. And they're going to get up to some adult activities as well. And of course, we also get interviews with the Islanders throughout to hear their perspective. So we're going to start with the originals and how they describe themselves. Obviously, I have a system that is about to be put into place. And these are the original girls who are there on day one. Ready? Okay. We're starting off with Kara. Kara is 25. She's a circus performer and a former cam girl. I am going to say their jobs here, but it honestly doesn't matter, and I won't say them later probably. She is sweet, but she also has a wild side. I really like her. Next, we have Olivia. Olivia is 22. She works in sales, but she's just recently quit because she's going on Love Island. Come on now. Her interview at the beginning is very pick-me girl vibes, but she's really not like that. I love Olivia. She's one of my favorite characters. She gives us tons of content during this show. She was formerly cheated on, so obviously that's going to be a factor. We all know that. But she kind of has her YN moment on this season, and it is awesome to watch. Next, we have Sophie. Sophie is 30. She is going to be the oldest person on the show, I believe, and makes sense. I don't know why anybody over 30 would want to go on this show. I truly don't know why many people would want to go on this show. Maybe they've been through something. I can see a version, but certainly not over 30. You don't want to go on this show. And she is a marketing manager and a model. She describes herself as feisty and flirty, and I agree. Next, we have Malin. Miss Malin is 23. She is a former flight attendant and now a makeup artist. And she is part of the trope of people on this show who think that they are so much more mature and wise than everybody else. And that is only true some of the time. Malin's strengths are certainly stirring up drama. Malin's weaknesses, I would say, keeping anything to herself. This girl cannot keep a secret. But that's fun for us. I don't love her, but I don't hate her either. And lastly, we have Zara. Zara is 20. She's Miss Great Britain. She's fun and loud and kind of a party girl and goes for the wrong guys. And ain't that the truth? She says it in her interview, and we should believe her on that one. Zara, she's a lot. Okay, she's a lot. She very much is a young fool. And she's 20, so that makes sense. Everybody's a fool when they're 20. But she's just kind of always radiating fool energy. And she can be kind of cringy at times. But still like her. She's cutie. She's just 20. She's just being 20. And now we are going to get into the first coupling where I will introduce the boys. Basically, the concept of this is that the girls are standing in a line. And as each boy comes in, they introduce themselves to them, and then the girls step forward if they think that he's cute or they're interested in him. But then the guy gets to choose any girl, including ones that did not step forward for him or girls that already have a guy. And if a girl gets picked by a guy and is coupled with him, she could still step forward for another guy. So they all keep their options open on this first coupling. The first guy who comes in is Tom. Tom is 24 and he is a trainer, okay? Tom describes himself as a bugger and a cheeky lad. And what that means is I'm annoying, but I think it's cute. He also thinks he's a hopeless romantic, but he gets on my last nerve. He's very possessive and seems to have some unbridled rage lingering. Very volatile, very toxic. I'm not a big fan of his. Now, Sophie and Malin both step forward for Tom, but he chooses Sophie. The next boy that we're going to meet is Nathan. Nathan is 24. He's a carpenter. He's from Essex, and he has the gift of the gab. He's very car salesman-y, very funny. He's a very confident short king. And Kara steps forward for him, and he picks her. The next boy who comes out is Rykard. Rykard is 25, and he is a trainer. He's really buff. He says basically nothing about his personality, but he's a nice guy. And I do like him. He's one of my favorite boys. Initially, Zara steps forward for Rykard, and he chooses her. But that may change, okay? So I'm not going to tape him up quite yet. There's going to be a shakeup here. So let's just set him right here. He's nice and comfy. Then another boy comes out. It is Javi. Javi is 24. He's a surveyor, which I have little to no idea what that means. But I don't know. He's nothing. He's I don't really care about him. However, both Olivia and Malin step forward for Javi, and he chooses Olivia. But that also may change. So we are going to keep him on the bench over here. The next guy out is Scott. Scott, unfortunately, was a victim of the printer where I got these photos done. So just imagine him with not a bright red beard. I'll try and put a normal photo of him on the screen just for your reference. Scott is 27. He works in PR and he's also a club promoter. I believe he's from Manchester. In his words, he is crazy, misunderstood, deep, emotional, and a film bro. Basically, he's been hurt once and he's been bitter about it ever since. I'm really sorry if you're hearing the sirens. There's nothing I can do about that. Emergencies happen. Sophie, Malin, and Zara all step forward for Scott. I told you the ladies like him. I couldn't tell you why. He picks Zara. So now Rijkaard is benched, which is why I did not tape him up earlier. And as a reminder, Javi is also currently paired with Olivia, but that's about to change, so I'm just not going to put him up there right now. But this man, Rijkaard, is the one on the bench now because he was coupled with Zara. So he is now with Malin by default, although he admits that he actually was interested in her from the beginning, but she didn't step forward for him, so he didn't go for her. Interesting. We have all of the pairs, except somebody is about to come in and shake everything up. And that man's name is Daniel. Daniel is 23 and he's a model. He's single because he chooses to be, but he could of course be in a relationship, or so he says. He actually is a really good person though. I kind of like Dan. He's fine. So obviously he is throwing a wrench in the even numbers here. But who will step forward for him? Well, Malin will. Malin steps forward for him after Rijkaard just admitted that he wanted her from the beginning, but she didn't want him. Pretty awkward. But actually, Daniel is going to go ahead and not choose Malin, even though she's the only one who stepped forward for him. Instead, he chooses Olivia. And that is why Mr. Javi over here is now single and fighting for his place in the villa. Now, part of my strategy for this is to take these smaller photos of the Islanders and place them underneath the person who they have been coupled with, so that we know the history, we know the lore, and if we need to look back, we can, to keep this all concise and clear, because they do switch around quite a bit. Everyone is up there now, and I just also wanted to note for your visualization that every single one of these people is wearing extremely, atrociously 2016 clothing and also very British clothing. Like, these men are in the worst outfits imaginable, okay? Skinny jeans is a virus and they have all been infected. They also are all equipped with phones on day one, and these phones can only text other Islanders and the crew, which usually is involving dumpings, recouplings, votes, etc., etc. That's where we get the iconic line, "I got a text!" Yeah. Worst British accent you've ever heard? Yeah, that's right. Give it a like for that. Hit that like button if that's the worst British accent you've ever heard. And by the first night, they are all cuddling in bed together. Imagine. Zara is fully obsessed with Scott, and she's beginning her campaign to eventually make sure everybody knows that she's Miss Great Britain. Right now, she's only saying it in interviews and not saying it outside because she insists that she doesn't want a big deal to be made about it. But it's very clear that that is not true. She cannot shut up about it. Cara and Nathan are totally hitting it off. So are Sophie and Tom. And, surprisingly, Rijkaard and Malin also hitting it off, even though they didn't really want to be together, or maybe Rijkaard did, but Malin didn't. Oh, I forgot to put Malin up there. My bad. Now, Daniel and Javi are both trying to win over Olivia because she's really the girl that they both wanted, except the problem is she doesn't want either of them, and they're starting to be annoying about it and fighting each other. It's just not a good look. In episode 2, Sophie reveals to Zara that she is also into girls. Amazing news. And she's just a little bit weirded out by all of the straight energy emanating in this villa because she hasn't dated a dude in a while, and it makes sense. And we do a challenge. The point of this challenge is to find out secrets about everybody. Would it surprise you to know that everybody in this group of people who went on reality TV are kind of wild? No? Yeah, okay. Me neither. Nothing really of note came up. And then Zara reveals to Scott that she's Miss Great Britain, and he couldn't care less. There is absolutely zero commotion for this reveal at any point with any person. That night, Nathan drinks too much and tries to come on to Cara, and when she says no because it's day 2, he calls her frigid, which really offends her, especially given her job, former cam girl, circus performer, which is kind of burlesque adjacent, because she doesn't want to feel like a piece of meat with the person that she's partnered with. And similarly, Tom is annoyed that Sophie doesn't want to be with him, biblically, so to speak, on night 2 in the communal bedroom. Did I mention that the bedroom is communal? Yeah, they're all sharing beds in a communal bedroom. So like these two sharing a bed, right next to these two sharing a bed. Would you want to? The next day, Javi is trying a new strategy with Olivia called lying. Yep, he just tells her that Daniel is flirting with all these other girls. Unfortunately, though, it does not work. It does not work for him because she sees straight through it and is like, stop trying to stir shit. And now she's disgusted by him. Yay! Kara and Nathan also go on a date where they discuss their fight from the night before, and Nathan genuinely apologizes, not fake apology, genuine apology. Kara's just such a great boundary setting girl. I aspire to that. And then we get a text. A new girl and boy arrived this evening. Now, every time that this happens, a new Islander comes in. Every single time with pretty much every person, one of three things is going to happen. Either A, they're going to get really nervous. B, they're going to have doubts about their partner. C, they're going to consider leaving their partner. Or, most commonly, really, all three. All three. And that's going to happen every time, so I'm not going to mention it in the future. Just know that that's always there, that tension. And on this particular occasion, Olivia jumps on Daniel and tells him to not get any ideas. So he's feeling really special now. Moving straight into episode 3 with the reveal of the new Islanders. First, we have Katie. Katie is 20. She's a makeup artist. She's flirty. She's feisty. She's dramatic. She's jealous. She's toxic. She is great TV. Javi is obsessed with her because he wants to stay, and also she's gorgeous. Even though she's another victim of the printing, her hair is not this red. I'm going to pull up a photo of her so that y'all can all see, but she's apparently Kat from Victorious for this purposes. And Scott is also interested in her because Zara's kind of cringing him out at this time. I'm just going to hold her here for a minute. She'll just be right behind Scout because they do couple up soon, but not quite yet, so just give me a minute. We also get a new boy, just to make sure we're even, Terry. Terry is 28. He is a carpenter. He's nice and cool for now, okay? Not going to spoil anything. I'm just saying keep an eye out for Selena, okay? Selena being Terry in this instance. Obviously, all the girls are interested in Terry, but mainly Olivia, who gets to him first. And yeah, that's her main interest now. Who is Dan? We don't know him. Daniel does get very possessive over Olivia and tries to confront her while she's talking to Terry. It's actually incredibly awkward. And then they fight about it later because he feels like she led him on by saying don't get any ideas. And then she got some ideas about Terry. But she doesn't really care what he thinks about it. And she just goes ahead and kisses Terry later anyways. Tom also gets pretty pissed because Sophie's kind of excited by Terry's presence. And she mentions that she really likes his tattoos. But they do calm that situation down pretty quick. And Scott breaks it off with Zara. She cries and throws herself a huge pity party about it and claims that she has been single for 2 years too long. 2 years would put her at 18. So I'm going to need that girl to get up off the floor. She then makes a joke about coupling up with Daniel when he's consoling her about it. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. It's giving desperate. But Daniel goes ahead and decides that he's going to take it as a joke, although he does tell Scott about it later. When it's time for bed, Katie is found sitting on the edge of Scott and Zara's bed, and Zara is not pleased. Not at all. She's not going to have that. She's very bitter, and she goes and kicks her off, at which point Scott decides to bring up how she was giving desperate vibes to Daniel. Of course, that's going to go ahead and cause a huge fight between the three of them. Lots of he said, she said. In the morning, Zara and Dan, they do make up. Zara and Scott, there's just no chance in hell. Tom and Sophie are also fighting again the next day because she was drinking and having fun the night before. So, of course, that makes her a promiscuous woman. But they make up again. So much fighting, and we are on day 3. And that night, Javi gets to choose a date, and he goes ahead and chooses Katie because that seems like his best shot at the moment. But she's more into Scott. In episode 4, Zara and Katie clear the air, but Zara is still throwing a pity party. Meanwhile, Katie and Scott and Olivia and Terry have switched beds and are now sleeping with each other every night, even though they're not coupled up. They don't get to bed hop in future seasons, by the way, but right now it is full steam ahead, although I will say Olivia and Scott are kind of giving insecure vibes because they're with the Villa's hotties now. The next day, Sophie decides to just come out and tell Tom that she has dated girls, although she insists that she is not gay. I'm not sure what you would want to call that then, but I'm going to go ahead and call it gay for my purposes. Luckily for her, Tom comes out as an ally. Yeah. Although I can see why she didn't really want to say anything and doesn't want to say that she's gay, because I think she might get kicked off of the show for that. I'm pretty sure you have to be straight. I mean, could you blame her? In 2016, would it surprise you to know that any of these people had some internalized homophobia going on? It shouldn't. They all kind of do. Javi is at this point desperate to stay, okay? Things did not work out with Katie. Things are not working out with Olivia. So he is now trying everything with Zara, but she's not really into it. And Dan is also trying with Zara, and she's also not really into it. She's not really digging either. And Javi even offers her a platonic pact, which for day 4 is so desperate. I mean, God, this guy. That night, Terry and Katie both get to take 2 Islanders on dates. Terry chooses Olivia, his current interest, as well as Malin, who is Olivia's best friend, but he swears up and down to Rykard that he just wanted to choose somebody platonically, maybe get some intel. And Katie picks Scott, her current interest, and also Dan. Lucky Dan. Scott and Katie's date, well, he goes ahead and tells her that he doesn't trust her. He thinks that they're going to end up hurting each other. There's no future there, and even says that he'd probably be safer going back to Zara. So Katie doesn't love that. The date doesn't go well. Terry and Malin on their date talk about how they would be together if it weren't for the current people that they're interested in, and that they're actually more into each other than them. But Malin claims she's big on girl code and doesn't want to start drama, so they're going to keep that one a secret for now. For now. Katie and Dan's date is just him trying to persuade her to choose him, and he is laying it on thick, as they would say. She's not into it. By laying it on thick, I mean that this man is coming off very desperate. He's doing everything he can to please her. What he's laying on is the sunscreen of desperation, and he is making sure that she is fully lathered and protected from any potential UV of attraction. Okay? Terry and Olivia's date is spent trying to backtrack on their initial connection because Terry is realizing that he's feeling friendship vibes for her and flirty vibes with Malin. Uh-oh. After the dates, though, Katie and Scott do make up from their little fight, so they are back on. And Olivia clearly knows that something is going on, and she is having intense anxiety about it, as would I. They're all gaslighting her into thinking that she's overreacting about it, but she is right. She is right, and they all know she's right. Ugh, I hate it. Rykard also figures it out. It takes him till the next morning, but he gets the picture eventually. And at this point, Malin and Terry are slowly telling everybody that they like each other. Except, of course, Olivia and Rykard, who don't get to know that information. Then Malin goes off to cry from anxiety about the whole situation, so Terry decides he's taking care of business. He talks to both Rykard and Olivia about it, and honestly, it goes pretty smoothly. They both take it incredibly well, and they both reassure them that, everything's fine and they'll still be friends. This is a rare occurrence for Love Island. Cherish it. And then, of course, the men do a strength competition. Boring. More interestingly, they find out that there is a recoupling tonight, the first recoupling, and girls get to pick. Javi decides to absolutely leave his pride behind him and begs Zara. When I tell you begs, this man is on his hands and knees. I don't remember if literally, but enough that I'm considering whether I mean it literally or not. He is telling her, please, platonic pact, come on, we could do this. I need to be here. Dan goes for the angle of just telling her he's interested in her. In the recoupling, Cara chooses Nathan, so they're still together. Katie chooses Scott, so he will no longer be with Zara. Malin chooses Terry, so she will no longer be with Rykard. Sophie chooses Tom again, so they're sticking together. Olivia chooses Rykard, because who else is she going to choose? And they're besties, and they both got rejected. And Zara chooses Dan, because there's more of a connection, and also he wasn't acting so desperate. So Javi is dumped. All right, I've updated the board. These are our new couples. Let's move on to episode 6. Olivia is still getting over the Malin and Terry betrayal, especially because Malin was her bestie and she wasn't even the one to tell her. And also she didn't apologize, by the way. But they all have breakfast dates in the morning and then they do a challenge. This challenge is of the food variety, which means it's absolutely nasty and usually involves baby birding into each other's mouths. Who cares? Scott and Katie are still bickering constantly. even though they've just coupled up and they should be in the honeymoon stage. But then Scott and Dan get to go get a beer together. The production team did this, and wouldn't you know it, two girls show up. The first one is Rachel, who is 23 and a nurse. She's flirty, she's friendly, she's classy, and she's into Dan. And then we have Malia. Malia is 26. She's a singer-songwriter. She is confident, read vain, dramatic, and very into Scott. That's most important, of course. They are going to hang out here until we know who they will be coupled up with, because I don't want to waste tape. While the boys are gone on dates with these girls, everybody is getting into nighttime party mode, doing their makeup and discussing the possibility that these boys might be on dates. And then they find out that, yeah, they're on dates. Katie in particular is super frazzled and angry. But she claims that when they get back, she's going to be so cool, calm, collected. She's the best actress. Never let them see you sweat. So the new girls arrive back in the villa with the guys, and Katie's acting skills, they truly fail her. She immediately is super upset that Scott isn't making eye contact with her. He's not giving her enough affection, and he calls her sly. That's her last straw, for real. She starts being really loud and upset, and then she starts crying. So Scott tries to console her, and it kind of works. Not really, though, but she does get it together a little bit. Then Katie decides she'll go over and talk to all the girls, and she pointedly decides to sit next to Malia because she claims she doesn't want Malia to think that she's angry with her, when in fact it's just Scott that she's angry with. But while they're all talking, Katie accidentally spills some of her drink on Malia's foot. She claims it was an accident and not deliberate. Who's to say? But either way, it was like the tiniest bit. But Malia, livid. She is livid, and they start screaming at each other, and Malia pushes her, which results in her getting removed from the villa. So that's a win for Katie, I fear. They all calm down, but when they go to bed after, Scott starts making jokes about getting into bed with Rachel instead of Katie. So she's going to go ahead and still be absolutely pissed at him, as she should be. And just a preview, this kind of behavior is going to come from both of them at various times. The next morning, we find out that Cara and Nathan and Mullen and Terry have now laid together, biblically. That's the girly chats. The boys actually don't talk about it because they're such gentlemen. Not really. They're not at all. This is actually very out of the ordinary for them, but I'll give them this one. Rachel is still kind of interested in Dan, but it turns out she's actually also kind of crushing on Rykard. Scott and Katie are not on speaking terms for the morning, but then he goes ahead and tells her that he really was just trying to get a reaction out of her, and also he still doesn't trust her. So they make up. That makes sense? Yeah. At night, Zara and Dan talk, and he tells her that she looks like an Emily, which kind of felt like an insult, not gonna lie. No offense to the Emilys out there, it's just the way that he said it. I think you would feel the same. It's the way he said it. So then Zara's like, let me just go ahead and push him off onto Rachel, except he's kind of not having it and now wants to be loyal to her. It was a little bit sweet, but also not, because she doesn't want him. And Zara really doesn't have to worry either, because Rachel tells Rykard that there wasn't much between her and Dan, and she's really into Rykard now. She does, however, try to suss out the situation between Rykard and Olivia says that they're just bestie vibes, so put a pin in that. While in bed that night, Terry and Mullen decide to make it official and become boyfriend and girlfriend. It's been like 1 or 2 days, but that's official. The next day they do a challenge where all of the boys work out, and then the girls have to smell their dirty clothing and decide which of their smells they're most attracted to. And if you were wondering, Rykard was chosen by the majority. That afternoon, Zara tells people that she doesn't really like Dan because he's kind of touchy-feely and it's creeping her out. And Dan does end up hearing that, so he's like, oh. Unfortunately for them both, they also go on a date this day where they confirm that they're just friends. Like, that's just not going to happen. And that night, Rykard wins the hideaway because of his manly scent, and he chooses Rachel, which makes Olivia upset, even though I thought that they were just friends and bestie vibes. Rykard reassures her, though, that he won't screw her over, even though he likes Rachel. We're on to episode 8. I'm not always going to announce, but we're moving. Rachel also talks to Olivia just to be nice, but really, should Olivia be upset? Probably not. They're friends. She keeps saying they're just friends. Why doesn't she want her friend to find love? That's what I want to know. Maybe because she wants to stay in the villa. That's why. It's strategic, and I get it, but it's still feeling a little bit selfish. Olivia does say, though, that she's willing to step back if Rykard really genuinely likes her, and they all agree that Rykard would not screw her over just for a fling because they're like brother and sister. Again, put a pin in that. The date goes well between Rykard and Rachel. They kiss, and they get the opportunity to stay in the hideaway for the night, but Rachel wants to be nice, so she decides they shouldn't stay overnight, just to be respectful to Olivia. Very sweet girl. In the morning, Rykard talks to the other girls and tries to tell them to stop talking to Olivia about him and Rachel because it's making her upset. But they rightfully are like, no, if she wants to vent, then we're going to talk to her. And Olivia does want to vent because she finds out that they kissed, and that makes her think that they're trying to screw her over. He's your friend. Just let him live, girl. She claims it's because he's not being fully honest and they aren't each other's type. Whatever. Also, this is of no importance, but I did note down that Zara reveals that she has just learned to change bed sheets. I'm going to need her to explain that further. Are her parents super rich? Did she never have to do it for herself? She's 20 years old. I'm just so confused. How can that happen? At night, we get a text that 4 new boys are going to come and speed date with the girls. Then they get to choose their top 2, and the public will vote 1 to stay in the villa. Zara likes 1 in particular, and we will get to him in a second. In the morning, they do a challenge, and I would love to tell you about it, but I don't want this video to get taken down, and more importantly, I'd like to keep my job. But you can Google it. It's episode 9. I believe it's the Claymation Challenge. Also, Katie is not loving Sophie. They're kind of beefing. Katie thinks that Sophie is very condescending and holier than thou, and Sophie thinks that Katie is really annoying and loud and chatty. At night, they're discussing the potential of a new boy coming in. Zara mentions that one of them thought that Katie was cute, so of course Scott is annoyed. That's classic Scott and Katie. And then the new boy comes in, Adam. And yes, I've drawn a shamrock next to him because he is Irish, and there will be other Adams later, so we need to be able to distinguish. Adam is a trainer and a wrestler, like WWE style. He's weird in a good way, and then later sexist in a bad way that kind of ruins my whole perception of him. But that's Adam. He said on his dates that he was interested in Sophie, but while she is a little bit interested in him, Zara and Olivia are a lot interested in him. The thing about Sophie and Tom, while we're talking about her, is that Tom gets really pouty and angry and moody easily, and that kind of scares / makes her anxious and constantly on edge. And she even says that she doesn't think he's the one for her. So, in my experience, not a good sign. Sophie does tell him about how he always makes her feel awful, and he does the classic, boy, I guess I'm just the worst. But does Sophie coddle his feelings? No, she doesn't. She's not going to disagree with this lame-o. Yeah. It's a big win for Sophie and big role model behavior. Meanwhile, Adam is getting to know everybody, and Terry and Malin get the hideaway for the night. I don't know if I mentioned what the hideaway is, but it's like a secret, separate room where they don't have to sleep in beds next to all the other islanders. And that's where they get up to funky stuff. So that's what happens there. Also, remember when I said put a pin in that when it came to Rykard and Olivia? Up in the main communal bedroom, they also ... If you know Mamma Mia, you will know that reference. I'm sure many of you do. And if you don't, I urge you to look that up and watch Mamma Mia. They get up to some funky stuff. And they pledge to keep it a secret because he's into Rachel and she's into Adam. In the morning, Tom tells the boys that he and Sophie are totally good now. Of course, that is what he thought before, so we will see. And minutes later, we did see because Sophie is crying yet again. Not because of Tom, I mean, maybe, but more so because this is just not her vibe. All of this, not her vibe. She is 30 years old. She is no longer down to be in a communal bedroom with a bunch of 20-year-olds who are all getting up to funky stuff. The problem with that being that she is on Love Island, so that's kind of what she signed up for, and she doesn't leave, but she's not into it. After she makes it through that little minty bee there, she talks to Adam, and he mentions that he likes her. So she does get pretty worried because he gets to go on a bunch of dates that afternoon. Not because she doesn't like him back, but because she's worried that Tom's going to get angry. So, another really good sign for their relationship. He does, however, pick Olivia first. Of course, Zara is absolutely heartbroken. She has been flirting hard with him. She even made this man breakfast. It's tough to see. It's a tough watch. On the other hand, Sophie is relieved. But she does tell Tom about the convo they had earlier where he said that he likes her, and Tom is super annoyed and is like, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Because I was afraid of your reaction, which is the reaction you're giving me right now. Adam's date with Olivia goes okay, but she thinks he's too nice for her. And then the next date with Zara is hard to watch because she's just so obsessed with him. And then he chooses Sophie. She goes on this date, and Tom says he's okay with it because he's so chill. He's so chill. Right? Isn't that what we know about him so far? Mm-hmm. The date goes, though, and she tells him to choose one of the other girls. But back at the villa, she confides in Kara that she's a little confused. Adam has given her a taste of normalcy, I think. When Adam gets back from all of these dates, Tom is absolutely pissed with him because he's such a snake. And why didn't he tell him before he took Sophie on a date? But of course, he's very chill about it. So chill. He's the chillest dude. Look at that super chill smile on his face. Then Tom rants to Sophie about it and also is like, "Are you interested in him?" And she says, "I don't know. I mean, like, I like him, but I don't know if I like him romantically." And I appreciate the fact that she is honest regardless of what she thinks the outcome is going to be. It's commendable. He does not love that response, though. I feel like that goes without saying. Now, the big question is, who will Adam choose? We will find out. In episode 13, they all play a game of true or false where they say something and everyone guesses true or false. Kara says that her and Adam hooked up previously, and they did know each other before. They worked in a circus together or something like that. So that kind of did make Nathan upset. And it's rare for him to get upset or jealous. So it's understandable, but honestly, he's pretty rude to her about it, even after she apologizes. So not his best moment. Then they find out that the hideaway is open and they get to pick a couple to go in it for the night. Now, since Kara and Nathan are fighting, they're not going to get chosen. So it's between Tom and Sophie, toxic couple number 1, or Katie and Scott, toxic couple number 2. And everyone agrees that Tom and Sophie should go. Katie gets very upset by this decision because she feels like they weren't even really in the running and Sophie just annoys her. And then her and Scott start arguing. Of course, natural progression. She then says, "Well, who's sleeping down here, you or me?" Yeah, shit just got real. And that is honestly Scott's last straw. And he basically tells her, "If you're insisting that we sleep apart, I think that this is just over, whatever." It's an interesting move, but she does calm down after that. Meanwhile, Nathan and Kara also make up, so all is happy again. But in the morning, Scott tells the boys that he's actually having doubts about Katie, mainly because they're always arguing and he feels like she takes out all of her bad moods on him, which is true. But in her mind, she's doing it because they're so close and she really loves him, so she can take it out on him. I know some people feel this way, that if they're taking out their anger on you, it's because they feel safe with you and that you're close. I disagree, and I do not like that, and I wish that those people would stay far away from me. I hope they never enter my life, but if you're one of them, you will get along great with Katie. And on the girls' side, Zara is going around saying that she thinks Olivia is faking her feelings for Adam because Adam and whatever girl he picks will be immune from dumping in the recoupling. It's a good strategy to go for him for that reason, but Olivia denies that, of course. Later in the day, Katie and Scott are up in the bedroom, and they overhear Sophie and Adam talking about all the strong couples in the villa. Of course, no mention of Katie and Scott, which is annoying to them, but that's really nothing new. What is new is Sophie saying that she wants to take it slow with Tom because she doesn't want to commit too quick and then have somebody come in and sweep her off her feet. Katie takes that to mean that Sophie is waiting for her dream guy and that it's absolutely not Tom. It's a bit of a misinterpretation, and even Scott thinks so, but she's going to go ahead and tell the girls that. And then they get a text that there's a recoupling that night. The boys are choosing now. Remember Dan? Oh, that's not even Dan. Remember Dan? Yeah. He still exists, and he's really not sure who to pick in this recoupling. He's very worried about it because he liked Rachel, but she has a thing with Rykard, and they're buddies, and he doesn't want to ruin that. Rykard is also worried because despite the fact that they said they were going to keep it a secret, he knows that everybody on national television saw that him and Olivia ... in the bedroom. Yeah. And he tries to talk to Olivia about it, but she's not having any of that. So he decides to just go ahead and tell Tom instead. It does weirdly seem like perhaps Rykard has some unresolved feelings towards Olivia, but he's gonna go ahead and just choke those down because she wants Adam. So what you gonna do? Now in this recoupling, they do have an even number of people, so there's no risk of elimination in that sense. The elimination is going to come from a public vote afterwards on who is the best couple. Terry and Malin stay together, Katie and Scott stay together, Nathan and Cara stay together. Who does Adam pick? Great question. Adam decides to pick Olivia based on bond and physical attraction. Big sadness for Zara. Zara is in her sad girl hours about that. And Sophie is, I don't know. Tom's certainly relieved. Sophie was giving eyes like either do not choose me under any circumstances or please save me from Tom. It was kind of hard to tell. So Tom and Sophie stay together. Zara and Daniel continue together. And Rykard and Rachel couple up. Afterwards, Zara sobs her eyes off about this because why don't these boys like her? And hey, I get that. I do get it. Adam tries to comfort her and she's like, no, it's all good or whatever. But she definitely just wanted him to get the hell out. I mean, she was crying. I don't want anybody seeing me crying. Absolutely not the person that just rejected me. Avert your damn eyes. Terry also decides to stir up some shit and tell Tom what Katie's been telling everybody, which is that Sophie apparently said she's waiting for some other guy to walk in. I know it's going to get a little confusing with the he said, she said, but that is the nature of the game, okay? Scott is like, I don't know if you should have told him that. The other guys agree because they're like, what if that isn't true? We don't even know. Katie could have just kind of made that up, and Scott heard the same thing and didn't think that that's what it was. But I don't know. I think Terry's kind of a real one for telling Tom. I would want to know if that was the rumor going around the villa. Anyways, Tom and Sophie do discuss it, and Sophie is living at levels of honesty and chillness that I feel that we can only just aspire to, the rest of us out here. She just tells him exactly what she told Adam, verbatim, word for word, and it's really not that bad. And then she's just like, yeah, that's the reality. Let's get real here. We're on a dating show and we haven't known each other that long. Tom doesn't love that, but sorry, Tom, get real. In episode 14, Terry does go ahead and apologize to Sophie for meddling in their business, but he also says that Tom loves her, which he never said. He's just assuming that because he is obsessed with her, and also spills the beans that it was Katie who told. Sophie instantly is like, okay, clearly Katie is just confused and being dramatic, which that's not inaccurate, let me just say. And Adam also clears the air with Tom and confirms that that's what Sophie said to him. So Katie's just wishing she never opened her mouth at all at this point. While they're all sleeping that night, Sophie goes downstairs because she just wants like one moment to herself. And so when Tom comes down to check on her and see if everything's okay, she kind of snaps at him. Both of their sides are understandable in that. But then later, Sophie tells him that she's committed to him. Good for Tom. Except, does he believe it? No, of course not. Because Sophie hasn't confronted Katie about what she said. So it must mean that everything that Katie said is true. That's the clear connect the dots, right? Very logical. In reality, Sophie is like, what is the point in me, a 30-year-old woman, getting mad at a 20-year-old for just being 20, essentially? Everything worked out. It's fine. But she does talk to her, and they're both very sweet and understanding, actually. I think that they would be sister vibes in another life. It's just the reality of the game show that made them very much dislike each other. At night, they're all very nervous because of the public vote. Well, not all of them, but these two certainly are nervous because obviously they're not the best couple. We all can see that. And Rykard tells Rachel that he just wants to make sure that they're always 100% real with each other, 100% honest. Except, of course, about the Olivia thing. Nathan also reveals that Cara is the first girl that he's ever found funny. No comment on that. I do think they're a sweet couple, but that pissed me off a little. Or a lot. A lot. The next morning, they get a text message that they're going to a beach party. And at that party, Tom and Rykard talk about the whole Olivia thing again. And Rykard is so confident that Rachel will never find out. Never. Those things never happen, do they? Especially not when you put them on national television. And they're also wondering, will the public think that he's a bad guy for this? Surely not. The question that they didn't ask, that they probably should have, is will the public be rooting for Olivia to be with him more than Rachel? I think that's the question they should have asked. Adam also notices that Olivia doesn't seem to be so into him anymore, right after they coupled up and she got immunity. Weird. Maybe she never liked him at all. And then, boom, Caroline, the host, arrives to reveal the results of the public vote. The fewest votes for best couple were Zara and Dan and Rachel and Rykard. But here's a twist. Only one member of each couple gets to stay on the island, and the islanders get to choose who they're dumping. Everybody, of course, chooses Rykard from Rykard and Rachel to stay because that's their bestie. So long, Rachel. But then Rykard says, actually, I got what I came here for, and she's on a boat back home right now. So I'm also going to leave. Bye. Then they move on with the dumping to figure out who they're going to dump of Dan and Zara. I would also like to note that the instrumental version of Ride by Lana Del Rey is playing in the background at this time. Ride by Lana Del Rey, again, 2016. It was a time. They choose Dan to be dumped. The nail in the coffin is really that Adam feels kind of bad that he did not choose Zara because she was so clearly obsessed with him. So maybe he wants to give her another chance. We do get a post-dumping interview with Rachel and Dan. Rykard is not there because he's technically still thinking it through. The adrenaline is gone and the production team is there, so they're making him think it through. And so as long as Rykard isn't there and Caroline's interviewing Rachel, she's just going to go ahead and tell her everything and let her know about what happened in the bedroom with Olivia. And maybe that's why the public doesn't think you're a good couple, because perhaps they're secretly in love. Something to think on. Rachel is very upset by this, as you can imagine. And Dan is also kind of pissed because he's like, wait a second. I let my bestie have my girl, and that's what he goes and does with it? Damn. Goodbye to Rachel. This really won't break. I hope you can't hear the people outside, but if you can, I'm sorry, bear with me. In episode 15, Olivia tells Adam that she's really not feeling it anymore, so that's over. But she is kind of sad because she's just feeling lonely. You know who else feels really lonely? Zara. They should start a Lonely Girls Club. But I don't think Zara is super in love with Olivia since they apparently like the same dudes and Olivia keeps getting them. And then Rykard comes back to say goodbye to everybody. He has this really emotional conversation with Olivia because she's completely devastated that he's leaving. And Rykard also lets us know that he doesn't regret hooking up with Olivia. Yikes. Also, the bedroom is just filled with bunnies at this point, if you get my drift, okay? The funky business is all around. Zara is now back to flirting with Adam. He's not really that into it, but what does he have better to do? And Olivia finally tells Malin and Kara, who are like her BFFs, about her and Rykard hooking up, which Malin then proceeds to spread everywhere. And then the production team gets Rachel and Rykard to meet up outside of the villa to discuss the whole thing. I know that I already ripped up their posters, but you can picture them in your head. They do end up staying together because he left for her, so clearly he must like her more than Olivia. And he also reads her a poem that he wrote, and it is just awful. That night in the villa, they play a game of dares, and Zara and Adam kiss. Yay for Zara! Terry also decides to throw a fit this night because first, Malin doesn't like how he has his sweater thrown over his shoulders tennis style, and then she has the gall to eat a piece of his cheese toast. Oh my god. Do not tell me that my outfits look bad, and don't touch my food without asking. Is that too much to ask for? And then she starts telling him in bed that he's being a girl about it, which is just, come on, Malin. And this man is tired. Terry is truly tired. And I do like him right now. Right now. The next day, everything does seem to be fine between Malin and Terry, but Katie and Scott, not so much. Nope. We can't have a moment of peace. Katie basically says, I don't really like the way that you act when you're drunk. Like, you're a completely different person. And Scott says, well, then I guess you don't really like me. Loser vibes. They keep going back and forth, apologizing and fighting again. But Katie is honestly just so tired, and Scott still thinks that she's in the wrong because she noticed that his alcohol habits are not good. And also, he thinks that she's making him look stupid, which is probably more of the reason. Meanwhile, Mullen and Terry go on a date, and Terry says that he thinks that they hang out together too much and they should give each other some space to hang out with friends. They also have a sweet convo, though, unpacking the baggage from their previous relationships and like how they're going to heal each other from those. But of course, Mullen is kind of bothered by him saying that he wants to hang out with her less. I think that this was just more of a situation where you do instead of say. Just spend more time with your friends instead of saying it directly. Because honestly, like, that's gotta hurt to hear. And then you're kind of feeling like on edge, like, I don't know if I can go and talk to them or not. Like, are you gonna annoy them? I don't know. Maybe I'm just projecting, but I am so Mullen in this scenario, and that would hurt my feelings. Also, the boys have a random little chat about how annoying drunk girls are. If there's one thing that you can count on from these men, it is a lack of self-awareness. Meanwhile, the girls all agree, as does Scott actually, that Scott is a negative Niall. But Scott is convinced that this is just because Katie's basically like annoying and young. Maybe you shouldn't date a 20-year-old then. Just a thought. But then they're kissing like an hour later, so I guess that's still happening. Tom is still getting butthurt at like everything that Sophie does. I can't even keep up with how much they're arguing at this point. I don't know what they're arguing about. And she's like, why do you keep taking out everything on me? Why are you always pissy? Like, God, it is hard to be around that man. And I'm not even around him physically. In the afternoon, amid all of that negativity, they play a game to see who knows their partner best. And Sophie and Tom win, which makes Tom think that everything is right on track with Sophie. She's not really setting any store by this, though, because he's still always super negative and pissy all the time. But for winning the challenge, they do get to go into the pod, which is where they get to interact with the outside world, and they get to choose which one of them gets to speak to their family, and thank God Tom let Sophie speak to hers. I mean, she really needed it. Truly, she was struggling so much. She was in tears. I was in tears watching her talk to her family. The girl needed it. Terry and Mullen have another struggle at night because Terry doesn't want to reveal his number, his count of bodies, some might say. And that worries Mullen because obviously it must be high. He reassures her though, and he says, and I'm going to get the quote, I would never screw you over. I'd never put you through that. I'd leave with you tomorrow. I'm not just going to throw this away for another girl. In episode 17, we get 2 new boys. James, who cares? He's whatever. And Alex. He's sweet. He's cheeky. He's flirty. He's a blonde man, but somehow it works. Of course, the main targets that these 2 men are after are Olivia and Zara, because they clearly don't have really anything going on. Unfortunately, though, Zara just does not have the game that Olivia does. She is just not up to that competitive level. So what are the producers going to do about that? Should they help Zara? No. Instead, they do an edit of her just doing things in the villa to somebody to love. My God, they clown her. Then they do a game where the new boys rank the girls on various categories, and then they have to guess their ratings. Jubilee would absolutely shudder at the thought of it. Oh my God. But our highlights are Zara and Katie got worst banter. Sophie got least real. The only way that makes sense is that they're just hoping that she doesn't really like Tom. And me too. Katie got hottest, and Cara got last in the hottest ranking, but she's basically married to Nathan, so I'm pretty sure that's why they did it. And I think that Zara knew that too, because Zara was second to last, and my golly, she has some feelings about this challenge. It's getting embarrassing. It's really getting embarrassing. Sophie also wasn't too pleased, but again, they blame it on the like saying she wants to be swept off her feet thing. So I'm pretty sure they're just hoping she doesn't like Tom. And then Mullen goes ahead and tells Scott that Katie thought that Alex was really hot. Just an FYI. Mullen knows how to stir the pot. It's a talent. Scott gets kind of annoyed, as you can imagine. So then Mullen just takes it over to the smoking area where Katie is and jokes about it with them, and everybody, including like literally everybody, thinks it's no big deal. And then Katie does a little impression of Scott being drunk and annoying. And that takes Scott to the next level livid. He is pissed. He is screaming. Nobody can have a moment of peace on Scott's watch today. So now Katie has to console Scott again. I'm tired. Surely she's tired. And Nathan admits that he wants to be Kara's boyfriend while they're getting up to adult activities. He cannot keep it in his pants, but they're very cute. At night, Zara wins a date with one of the new boys, her pick, and she chooses Alex. And his reaction is, I would say, lackluster at best. Olivia is majorly bummed, though, because they were really hitting it off. But he does go to the hideaway with her for the date regardless. They do get the option to stay in the hideaway, and Zara wants to, so he does. And while they're there, might as well get up to some adult activities. And then there's a clip of Zara licking her lips after. That was a choice. That was a choice. Kind of, though, I'm not gonna lie. So Alex, the next morning, tells all the boys, and Zara only tells Katie and tells her, please don't tell anybody. So Katie tells everybody. Oh, wait, is that not what she was supposed to do? Weird. Unfortunately, Alex is saying that he still likes Olivia better. Damn. Cue Fix You by Coldplay, because Zara really did try her best, but she did not succeed. The girl is really sad, and everybody's being really judgy about it. I mean, they say that they're not being judgy about it later, but I saw what I saw. I saw the judgment, and I'm sure Zara did too when she watched this afterwards. Katie, honestly, may be the worst of all in their reactions because she's supposed to be Zara's bestie, and she's telling Scott, like, oh yeah, she's just playing the victim to win the show. Damn, Katie, that's cold. Of course, no one is shaming Alex. Not one person is shaming Alex. Even Olivia is like, yeah, I'm really pissed, but boys will be boys. Girl, drop the boys will be boys. Just be pissed. And by the way, she's only pissed for like 2 seconds and then she forgives him. I will say, Sophie and Adam are the only ones acting right post Hideaway Gate, okay? They are the only ones not judging Zara and making her feel bad about herself to her face or behind her back, okay? And they both make her feel better. They're really sweet about it. And it is good because Zara actually likes Adam, not Alex, and his stance is, hey, I volunteer as tribute next time. If you're going to get up to adult activities, I'd like to be chosen. So it's looking up for Zara, actually. Later, the new guys get to pick girls to go on dates with in the evening. And Alex picks Olivia, and James, who I'm sure you've heard nothing about so far, he picks Katie. They say that their date goes well. It didn't really look like it did, but that's what they say when they get back to the villa. And Katie's saying that she's confused now. I think she's just realizing that she could do better and wants Scott to be jealous. And by the way, BFF Zara is Team James all the way. Stop fighting with this loser and have some fun. But then she talks to Scott and he's like a major bummer. Scott is going on and on to Katie about how she treats him like shit and she isn't nice enough to him and making her feel bad, blah, blah, blah. And Katie is like, I am so drained. I am so tired. Like, is this even worth it? Would this even work? That's really not the reaction that Scott was looking for. So then he has to go to a different tactic. So he just goes ahead and starts trying to make her guilty and says like, oh, if you really wanted this, then you would really fight for it. And I'm going to leave if I'm not with you because like I only wanted to be with you. It seems to be over. She seems to be free. But alas, we'll get back to that. In episode 19, Alex and Olivia go on a date. It goes really well. They both have the same nose piercing, and they both like to party. Awesome. Tom and Sophie also become official, and they play a One Direction song as they kiss. I'm supposed to feel happy for them. I think that's what was intended, but how can I? How can I when this man pisses me off so often? I wanted to comment on Tom's hideous muscle tee, ripped skinny jeans man bun combo, but honestly, all of the dudes' outfits are atrocious, so just a reminder again, their style sucks. That's just my opinion, though. Scott sleeps on the couch that night, but then, of course, he crawls into Katie's bed and is being so dramatic, talking about, like, I was trying to be nice, but nice guys finish last. Maybe you're not that nice. Have you ever considered that? And he starts being annoying, being like, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'm never getting into a relationship again. Really? You've been dating a 20-year-old girl for 2 weeks on a reality TV show. Surely you can't be serious. This is the final straw? It's hard to even look at him sometimes. He's so annoying. But in the midst of all of this, a surprise recoupling. Nathan and Kara stick together. Sophie and Tom stick together. Mullen and Terry stick together. Alex and Olivia pair up. And Zara and Adam pair up. And then, who will Katie choose? Toxic Scott or new guy who we know nothing about? She chooses Scott. When will I leave this hell? Goodbye to him. We barely knew ya, but I guess it was nice. Now, you may notice that I have put Zara under Alex's and Alex under Zara's, and that's just because I don't want us to forget about the hideaway, even though they didn't couple up. Let's not forget that. Moving on, Terry and Mullen get in another tiff because Terry doesn't want Mullen to wear his clean t-shirt to take a nap in, and he gets really pissy about it, and Mullen feels sensitive about it. I don't know. I see both sides, and what I see is that they need to chill. But despite their arguing, we have a party and 2 new Islanders. We have Tina. She is 21. She is a posh girl, which means she's like rich and classy or something. I don't know. She's a business student and also, admittedly, a cheater. And we also have Liana, 20 and a stripper, and has never had a boyfriend because dudes are really judgy about her job. Oh, and she says she has bad taste, so that's a factor too, I guess. Mullen and Terry are still fighting about that damn t-shirt, and the new girls are not making Mullen feel any better or more secure, but they do still make up pretty quickly. And we also get an extremely funny clip of all of the couples hooking up in their beds in the communal bedroom, and Adam is just sitting up in his bed, whistling George Michael, and watching everybody. Adam's giving cuck. Anyways, it was funny though. In the morning, we get some bad news, or Zara does. She has been stripped of her Miss Great Britain title because she slept with Alex on television. Honestly, it's kind of stupid. They didn't really show much, and I don't know. I don't really think that's fair, but whatever. The girls are very reassuring and sweet. Adam, however, decides that he will cheer her up with a joke about getting a deal. Common sense was not in the room with Mr. Cock. Mm-mm. And on top of that, Adam is telling Tina that he only likes Zara as a friend. Damn, Zara cannot catch a break. Tina seems to like Scott, though. That's a big uh-oh, and Katie is going full drama mode, even though she's not threatened, as she says, and that she's going to be chill, which we know she's incapable of. But also, Scott is definitely trying to egg it on. He wants Katie to be jealous so bad it's actually embarrassing. The thing is, though, she isn't jealous per se. She's just very territorial, I guess. She's like a little dog. Arr, arr. Oh, there's my little dog over there. Yeah, like him. Yeah. And the producers decide, let's roll with this. Let's get it going. So they let Tina and Liana choose couples to go on a break, and the girls have to spend the night in the hideaway while they go on a date with the boys. And they let them decide from the pod and send the text while they're still in the pod so that they don't get bitch slapped, basically. And good thinking on their part, because Liana chooses Olivia and Alex, and Tina chooses Katie and Scott. Katie was already a woman on the edge, and Tina just pushed her straight off it. And meanwhile, Olivia can't even be worried for herself because she's got Katie on a 51-50 over here. She has more things to worry about, and she needs to be the sane one. At first, they just have girly time in the hideaway, and you actually catch a glimpse of a version of Katie that's like normal. But Scott is still in the vicinity, so she can't be that girl for too long. Something about that man just makes her absolutely rabid. It should be studied. And then Tina and Liana get to go on their dates with Alex and Scott, and they walk them right by the hideaway on their way out of the villa. They want this woman to snap. They want her to snap, and she does. She yells at Tina, tells her she hates her dress, and also calls her a see you next Tuesday. Woo! Olivia's over here like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm bothered, but those are inside thoughts. We see the dates. They go fine. Exactly how you would expect. The girls are just trying to figure out, is there an opening for me? And Alex doesn't seem to have an opening for any new girls. Scott, however, claims there is, but we'll see about that. When they come back, Katie and Olivia are once again in the hideaway, ready to greet them as they walk back into the house. And Katie screams at Scott, and he doesn't respond. So then she yells, "We saw everything," which does scare him a little bit, but isn't true. Tina is very upset about all the yelling, though, and the other girls are comforting her and they're on her side. And as they're all in the smoking area, like talking about it, Katie and Olivia are at the window, like trying to look out at them. And Katie's like banging on the window and like mooning them. It is a really rough look. It is a really rough look for them. And Olivia's really not doing much, but she is caught up in the Katie storm, unfortunately. But Scott still likes Katie more than Tina. So it's just a hard watch for no purpose other than entertainment. And it is entertaining. So then Malin decides she's going to let Scott know that apparently when the new boys came in, the new boys, Alex and that other dude, who cares? Katie was apparently saying she didn't want Scott to hug her in front of them, which, I mean, Scott can't handle that information. I don't even remember if that actually happened or not, but basically all the other Islanders are telling Scott that he should absolutely dump Katie. And meanwhile, Katie and Olivia are still looking out the window. Katie's still mooning them. They're screaming. Well, Katie's screaming into the void at least. So then Scott goes over to the hideaway door and argues with Katie through the door. And then when it comes to bed arrangements at night, since Katie and Olivia are in the hideaway, they're going to have to figure that one out. And Scott does stay in a bed with Tina and they talk some shit about Katie. But Alex sleeps on the couch and doesn't sleep in a bed with Liana. He's a changed man. And in the morning, Scott is claiming that he was blind and now he can see. Okay. Okay, give that a minute. And Olivia and Katie finally get out. Olivia immediately sprinting to go get a cig. She needs that shit. Katie goes to Scott. That's her nicotine. Scott and Katie hash it out, yelling, crying, rumors, threatening to leave, cursing the day that they ever met, the whole nine. And Scott does try and end it, but he doesn't quite manage to finish it off. So they're in some sort of nebulous now. And Katie also has to handle the situation with all the other Islanders who think her behavior was completely out of line, and they have seriously lost respect for her. She does apologize to Tina, and she says she meant it as a joke. Tina, not buying that. Not buying that. She's a little smarter than that, okay? Let's give her a little credit. Taking a break from the drama for a second, Zara is leaving, not because of the Miss GB scandal, but because her mom is in the hospital. Poor girl could not catch a break. And so on that note, I do this with the utmost respect, love, and gentleness. And straight after she leaves, Adam is absolutely pumped because he figures he's going to be the main target for these two girls that are in need of a man. They do need a couple, it's true, but he thinks he likes Tina more, but he wants her to come to him because she's the desperate one. And he also jokes about maybe sleeping with Liana and then choosing Tina in the end instead because Liana's a stripper. I thought I liked him, but that stopped right there. Scott has decided to stay with Katie. So the saga continues. Tina is kind of okay with it, though. I think that whole situation kind of gave her the ick with Scott. At night, we have another session of everybody hooks up in their beds while Cara and Nathan narrate and laugh at them. And it's a wild time. Unfortunately, though, this does make Tina leave the room and cry because she's feeling really lonely. And also that's like really uncomfortable. Luckily, Adam comes outside to comfort her. Katie apologizes again to Tina and says that she's totally fine and cool now. Whatever that means for Katie, I don't know. And then Tom and Sophie go on a date. Whatever, who cares? Cara is begging Nathan for attention. He's not into daytime PDA. Adam contemplates his choices with the men. They're all pigs. That's all you need to know there. And then Cara and Nathan get to go into the hideaway. And this is great for Cara because Nathan loves to chitter and chatter and gab with his friends. So there's not a lot of one-on-one time in the day for him and Cara. And also, this man cannot be serious. He cannot be serious. Honestly, I can relate. Ask me to be serious and sexy. Hard task. That's a hard one for me. And I get it. I get it. I'm feeling Nathan on that one. Meanwhile, Adam and Tina sleep together outside and cuddle, and Liana actually gets up and goes for a cigarette in the middle of the night, like near them, because that's where the smoking area is, and just cries because she's so lonely. In the morning, they play a game, but it's really not worth mentioning. All you need to know is that these boys are dumb as rocks, except Scott. who wins and gets a video chat with his twin. His twin says he should ditch Katie and get with Tina because Katie makes him look weak. But Scott doesn't really care because he actually just only likes Katie. But he does vow that if anything else happens, he will dump her. Be so serious. At night, they do a Miss Love Island pageant. It's judged by the dudes. So, quick recap. Their talents. Katie tap dances. Olivia does sexy hula hooping. Liana, despite being a stripper, decides to recite a poem just to keep it fresh. Malin does art. Tina tells stories about her life because she has nothing. It's really boring. Sophie sings, and Cara breathes fire. You can tell these men are obsessed with them because they are pretty damn impressed with, honestly, very mediocre acts. Except Cara, of course. Breathing fire is sick. Then they answer questions and talk about their lives. Some of them are like sentimental, some are funny, some are a hard listen. Like Tina talks about how she's just had so many opportunities in life and squandered all of them. Yikes. But Sophie does bring it home by talking about Zara and the double standards at play with that whole Miss Great Britain situation. Cara gets second place, and the winner is Sophie. And she celebrates by throwing the crown in the pool and doing a little Mean Girls winner speech. She's a gem. Come on. And then Tom gives her some sort of promise ring. Boo. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't boo their love, but I can't bring myself to like this man. I can't do it. Later that night, Olivia is like kind of drunk and trying to play matchmaker, and she wants Tina and Adam to kiss to see if they really like each other because they won't know otherwise. But Adam is like, I don't really know this girl, so no. And also, I'm the only one making an effort here. She never does. And Tina's like, I just don't know about you, period. I'm not sure I like you at all. So it's pretty tense and they do not kiss. Tina is honestly just really grossed out that he obviously wants them to compete for him. Adam does apologize to Tina, but he also is now talking to Liana more. And perhaps, believe it or not, in a huge plot twist, strippers also have personalities. Ones you might even enjoy. And in the morning, I think some of that was in the morning, but whatever, I didn't mention it. They play a game. And this one is a juicy one, guys. Basically, they read quotes about each other that they have said, and they have to guess who said it about who. Oh my God, it's a good one. So here are some highlights. Sophie at one point said that she genuinely didn't think Tom was the one for her, and you just know Tom is a mess about that. Terry said she's effing childish, and I don't want to be with someone like that about Malin. And he's not ashamed because he said that to her face too, so whatever. It is revealed that Adam said that he could just bang Liana and then choose Tina, but Liana is like, well, I wouldn't bang you, so you're just a loser, I guess. It's also revealed that Malin did tell people that Olivia and Rykard hooked up even after she was sworn to secrecy. Some of Katie's mean comments about Tina are aired out. F you, you basic maiden Chelsea effed up reject bitch. I mean, she knows how to string together a sentence. Scott said they think they're the most powerful dominant couple in here, and they think they're the queen and king of the villa about Tom and Sophie. Katie also said, my head's effed up. I fancy the pants off of him when she went on that date with James, that random guy. And Scott is really pissed because didn't he just tell her not to do that ever again? But then they're like flirty instead of fighting. It's weird, whatever. I'm done trying to understand that. Most of them come out of this feeling all right. Adam is trying to make every single excuse in the book for what he said about banging Liana. Oh no, that's just how guys talk. I said I wouldn't do that in the villa anyway, so it must not be true. Blah, blah, blah. None of these girls are nearly as mad as they should be about it. Instead, everybody is annoyed that Malin can't keep her mouth shut, which, like, that's true, but Adam's is definitely worse. So they send Olivia, Malin, and Cara on a girls' dinner to work it all out on the remix, shall we say, because they are historically besties. Olivia and Cara are really trying to be nice to Malin and like have it come from a friend that she needs to keep her mouth shut because it's making people not like her. But Malin just kind of laughs it off. Meanwhile, in the villa, Liana goes off on Adam, as she should. She's like, F you, for real. I hate your guts. I don't think she says those exact words, but that's my paraphrasing. And Adam gives super lame, fake apology. Y'all know exactly what I mean. I know you do. Sorry. Adam says she's taking it wrong and taking it personally, which all women would, and keeps trying to say that it's lad banter, lad being dudes. He's saying it's locker room talk. And she says, no, actually, F you. Also, you're not a gentleman, by the way, because everybody for some reason thinks he is a gentleman, and he's absolutely not. Boy, I hate this man. When they come back from the dinner, Mullen tells Terry that she will no longer be gossiping to him if he keeps spreading it around, basically blaming the allegations that she's a loudmouth on him, which may or may not be true, but he's like, that's fine, just don't tell me the gossip then. I would prefer not to hear it because I am going to tell it. But Mullen doesn't like that answer because she wants to gossip with her man. At night, there is a surprise dumping. One girl going home via public vote. And the bottom three are Tina, Liana, and Mullen, Miss Loudmouth. And guess who goes home? Mullen. Everybody is shocked. You know who wasn't? Me. Because honestly, she's been pretty annoying lately. Everybody is sad, so moment of silence for Mullen. Whatever. I'm glad my girl Liana is staying, though. Mullen and Terry have this big tearful goodbye, but he does say he's going to leave with her, so that makes her feel a lot better. Not me, though. I've seen this show way too many times to fall for that one. And Mullen does leave, and Terry doesn't go with her initially. But he's really like, oh, I'm just not going at this exact time. See you tomorrow. Again, I have seen this show many times. Nothing would make me believe this. And of course, the boys are trying to convince him to stay because there's only 3 weeks left. And generally, everybody's like, just stay. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Like, who cares? You don't have to couple up with someone else. A lot of them say that, like, couple up with friends and, like, not actually be with anybody else. I just want to enjoy the remainder of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Again, I have seen this show too many times to really believe that. Sometimes it happens, but mostly it doesn't. Kara gets mad at Nathan in bed that night because he wasn't comforting her when Mullen left, and Nathan feels that she has too many rules. I think that's just kind of the basics of being in a relationship, dude, but whatever. They leave the bedroom and fight about it outside, and her stance is, I want to be taken care of in my relationship, and his stance is, God, I didn't know you were so insecure. And he also calls her a nightmare when she comes back into the bed later at night to make up with him. This man doesn't know what a nightmare is. He has clearly never had sleep paralysis. But if Kara would only delegate the task to me, I am prepared to be in this man's nightmares over this. How dare you? In the morning, Terry is feeling like he definitely wants to stay. He had his doubts about Mullen, and he's not even sure that they would work in the outside world anymore. He also feels he needs to be tested. Some might say that the test was whether or not you left with her, Terry. Some might say that, but I do agree that he should stay. What I will say, though, is that every time that they feel that they need to be tested, the test is always a gorgeous girl. And guess what? They always fail. Scott refers to this as a fresh start, whereas Terry is going to go ahead and refer to this as a free pass. His villain arc has truly begun. Meanwhile, Liana and Tina, both not into Adam, and actually, it's mutual. There's just nothing there. The boys think that Adam is just too nice, and that's why. But frankly, they find him really annoying. I think he's kind of giving creep. I mean, I'm not saying he is, but his eyes are giving crazy for sure. The boys also have weird secret challenges to do that afternoon without the girls knowing. They're silly and irrelevant, so who cares? However, now that Terry is single again, these two girls have another potential option. And they would much prefer him to Adam because, as previously mentioned, giving nice guys finish last, but you're not actually nice, giving kind of weird in a creepy and odd way and not in a fun way anymore. Terry does make it clear that his choice is Tina, though, because she's the more respectable option. Okay. And yeah, of course, it's totally platonic and not at all about exploring his options. Or at least that's what Tina kind of thinks. Both of them definitely don't really think that, but we're going to play that game for now. In the morning, Scott and Katie have a little challenge/date where they have to go and get groceries and cook for the villa. They haven't fought in a whole 5 days. Boring. Give me the drama. Give me the drama. I know that I hated it, but I kind of want it back now. Maybe I'm just like them. Anyways, I am happy for them, I guess. And also, they get this chance to gossip about everybody away from the villa, so that's kind of nice. Update on everyone else. Tom is still annoying and pissy. Sophie is still wondering, when the hell will this man lighten up? Terry is feeling so free like a bird, and everybody else is just kind of like chilling. That afternoon, they do the heart rate challenge where the girls do strip teases for the boys, and it's not really of note, but Liana gets partnered up with Adam, and so she just decides that she's just going to hit him. She just grabs a whip and just starts, which he deserves. I'm so sorry. He does. He does deserve it. Scott and Katie win because she just tickles him, which is a fantastic strategy. Cara and Nathan lose. They are even behind Terry and Tina, who do nothing. Oof. Cara is definitely not feeling good about that, but Nathan doesn't want to hear it. He's tired of that. He finds it so annoying that she's insecure. My man, that is a normal response. Meanwhile, Sophie tries to tell Tom that all of this snapping on her is really giving her anxiety, and he responds by saying, "Smile, please. Your face looks like a slapped ass at the moment." And that woman stays so calm. She very calmly explains that if she were to say that about him to him, it would be end times. And then he hits her with the like, "Well, I guess you just want to break up with me then, huh?" And she's like, "Why would you even think that?" And he says, "Because I always make you unhappy." And her response is, "Well, just stop making me unhappy." Pretty blunt, but as another Love Island contestant, Queen Serena, would say, I am 10 toes behind her, okay? Yeah, stop making her unhappy. And then at night, we get a new Islander, Emma. Emma is 19 and a project manager. Yes, you heard me correctly. She is 19 years old. Teen is at the end of that. Yes, 19. But that's not what shocks everybody. What shocks everybody is that she's Tom's ex. Sorry, guys, scooch over. We've got some drama incoming. Before they introduce her to the villa, Terry and Adam go on a date with her, which not great news for Adam considering that Terry is much better at dating than him. The producers hate this man as well. When they get back to the villa, Tom freaks the like this man is crashing. But then he says he's not worried all of a sudden and even says he'll give the other guys pointers, which good thing for Terry because he is interested. Just a friendly reminder that Terry is 28 years old and Emma is 19. It's legal, but it's not cool in my book. Sophie is not pleased at this time, but she handles everything incredibly well. She is very mature about it, although she is ready to dump Tom at even like the slightest hint of him still liking his ex, which is valid and correct. Very much so. And especially given the fact that Tom, for some reason, can remember exact dates from his relationship with her, and it wasn't that long ago that they broke up. So, cool. I would be annoyed. And Emma lets us know that her and Tom broke up because she caught him texting his ex. So, the track record, it's really not on his side here. But Sophie and Emma chat, and they're both very kind and mature about it. And Emma even says that she considered taking Sophie from him. Wish that were the storyline. I mean, not really, because Sophie's 30, so that's an age gap that I don't approve of either. And now that another girl is here, Terry, who was fully in a relationship with Mullen, and they didn't exactly break up. Yeah, that Terry. It's weird because he's actually completely ready to move on and is completely over Mullen. How fun for him. He is willing to let Adam try his hand at it first, but he's pretty confident that Adam's going to fail. And he does, of course. In the morning, I get a text that Sophie and Emma will be going to coffee together just to hash things out. And Emma makes another joke about them dating. And at this coffee date, they gossip mostly about Tom and why their relationship ended. Emma says it's because he was texting his ex that she was the love of his life. Oof. And also, they were in contact like very shortly before he went on the show. They also discussed Tom's Jekyll and Hyde situation. That's how they both refer to it. So it is very clear that that behavior, it's not just because he's isolated in a villa. and like it's taking a toll on him. That's just how this man operates. Scary, scary, spooky. Anyways, they get along great. All's well with Emma and Sophie. And Terry and Tom both note that they seem to be besties. Well, the thing is, Tom, they're besties because they both realize how much you suck and they're venting about you. So I don't think all's well there. Terry makes another reference to them dating. And at night, Emma makes another joke about sleeping in the same bed with Sophie. They literally all cannot stop making these jokes, and I will stop mentioning it. But I really need them to stop as well. I need them to. The boys are also weirdly trying to convince Tom that, like, Emma still has feelings for him, and maybe that could have been the case. But it's very clear now, given the dynamic, that it's absolutely not. On the other hand, Tom is not loving Sophie and Emma's friendship. He finds it very strange, very odd. It makes him uncomfortable, and he tells Sophie that. So what does Sophie do? She's going to go have a giggle and a gossip with her bestie Emma about it. Yes, I love it. Tina also starts to think perhaps she could like Terry as more than a friend. Now that she could possibly get dumped, of course. Then Katie tells her upstairs that Terry was like, no, we're just friends. Like, it is what it is. This was an agreement and nothing more. Tina is pretty annoyed by this, and Katie agrees with her. But then Terry comes upstairs with Emma, so Tina kind of like leaves in a huff. And Katie's like, yeah, she's really upset. I don't know why, though. She shouldn't be. Katie, girl, I cannot defend you on that one. Why? Meanwhile, Sophie is just over it with Tom. Now that he's being all pissy because she's friends with his ex, it's just getting even worse, and they start openly fighting. Emma's over here like, damn, y'all are really going to make this uncomfortable. And now Tom is claiming that he's going to go home because Sophie can't handle his moodiness anymore. And he's making a good show of it, even like pretending to pack, but I don't believe that. And Sophie shuts that down. Shut it down. She shuts it down. And she says, okay, well, you can either stay here and clean up your act and make things better like you should have done way before, or you can leave, but if you leave, we're done. Like, I'm over this if you're leaving. So he's staying. Oh, wait, he's leaving and it's over. No, he's staying. Damn it, they play with me so many times when I wanted this man to go. I do love that Sophie is honest, brutally so. I mean, she's telling him, like, there's really a part of me that wants you to leave. Like, I'm just done playing games with a freaking loser. Buck up or get the hell out. And she also says, like, this has probably gone on far too long anyways. Like, this is just not going to work. So it seems they've broken up. Nathan and Cara also have a tiff. It's stupid and they get over it in the morning. But I will say, it does piss me off the way he talks to her in this. It's very disrespectful and insensitive. And Cara just deserves so much better than that treatment. But most of the time he's good, and I'm trying to remember that nobody's perfect. In the aftermath of the Tom and Sophie breakup, Sophie is feeling relieved, weight off her chest, free as a bird, feeling amazing. Tom, devastated. He never thought it would come to this. Oh my God, he can't believe it. Tale as old as time. I just want to rip that man's poster so bad, I can't even tell you. And then Tom decides to make a last-ditch effort. Sophie is not really having it. She sees right through it. She's literally laughing at him and in her interviews because he's like trying to pretend like he's in a movie. Like, it is so contrived. It's so cringe. It's so desperate. They do end up kissing at one point, but it is pretty clear to me that she has the ick. She might not be saying that outright, but I'm pretty sure she does, and so do I. I have seen this monologue bullshit before that he's pulling, and it actually makes me want to fake a medical emergency. Like, it is so uncomfortable. I need to get away from it. It's crazy. And I hate seeing it from him. Maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but I think if y'all watch this season, you would understand how freaking horrible it is. To save us from this high school theater performance by Tom, Emma is given a date by the producers, and she chooses Terry. Although she does joke multiple times about taking a girl. Stop queer baiting us, Emma. Kiss a girl now or else. Anyways. And Tina has now realized she does like Terry. Would you look at that? If you were wondering what the other girls think about Terry and Emma's budding romance and his basically dumping Malin, but not really dumping her at all, I can tell you that at least Olivia and Katie, and I'm pretty sure Cara, are not Team Terry. In the morning, we also get a conversation between Emma and Tom, where he's basically saying it's really uncomfortable to watch her and Terry interact. And he's almost saying it like he's trying to gauge if she's still interested, maybe, now that him and Sophie have broken up. But interest level, 0 from Miss Emma. God, she's seen enough. Who would be interested at this point? Tom, get your shit together and go find a girl who hasn't seen the show. On the other hand, Sophie is feeling pretty upbeat. Then we get a challenge that day where the girls have to find their partner by touch alone. They're all blindfolded, but they add in 2 new guys. First, we have Oliver. He's 25 and he's a model. We have way too many single people, by the way, right now. And we also have Troy, 23, salesman, and doesn't find girls funny. I hate him already. Okay, we've got all the singles here. Hopefully you can keep track of them for a second. And the new boys are told that one of them is going home tomorrow, so they are in desperate times. Luckily, they do get 3 hot tub dates each. Oliver chooses Katie, who he calls evil and bitchy. She calls it brat, though, which is so true. He also chooses Tina, who he compares to a puppy. And he also chooses Sophie, who very much admires his bravery in trying to go against Tom there. Troy, boo. Troy chooses Liana, who he says is tough to crack. He also chooses Tina, who he says he's pleasantly surprised by her personality. I'd take that as an insult, but okay. And then he also chooses Katie, who is sticking with Scott over even Zayn Malik for some reason. I'm not even saying Zayn Malik's that great, but why? Why Scott over everyone? I'm failing to see. Though she went on a date with Oliver, Sophie is more interested in Troy, as are all the other girls. Why? I could not tell you. They should be running for the hills. He's the worst. For example, he tries to get Tina to stay downstairs with him one night, and he is weirdly aggressive about it. And it's the first night he's there. Oliver, on the other hand, seems to be a relatively normal and nice guy, so obviously he's not going to get anywhere. Tom is majorly worried, and he really wants Sophie to reassure him. He's giving all the cinematics, all the dramatics. I'll never love anyone else again. Sophie's like, okay, whatever. The next day, it's Nathan's birthday, and him and Kara go on a date, and they say that they're soulmates, and I believe them. Oliver tries to get clarity with Sophie, and she does clarify that she's not into him at all. Meanwhile, Olivia overhears all the other guys talking about when they get out of the villa, how all the girls are going to want them and how many girls they're going to get. And all of the boys really seem to think that Alex is a huge player, but he definitely seems to be less of an asshole than the rest of them. So maybe that's why he gets more girls than you. Huh. Whoa, that's crazy. I mean, he is cuter than them as well, but come on. The personality matters. That afternoon, they do the dumping, and they all unanimously choose to dump Oliver because they all think that Troy and Tina have a connection, and they don't want to mess with that. But at the end, when they're telling him goodbye, he says, I'm not going to put myself out there unless I feel it, all right? He will, I won't. And he also tells Katie that there's not actually a real connection between Troy and Tina, and Troy is just playing the game and is like, watch what happens. You'll see. At least he was honest. Normally, I would say that he's just bitter about getting dumped. But since I think Troy is actually the worst already, I do believe him. And normally the bombshells that come in together are very supportive of each other and best friends. So it's definitely not good PR for Troy. We are in the final 10 episodes. If you have not liked this video and you are at the final 10 episodes, what's going on? Do you hate me? Obviously not that much. You've sat through a lot of this. Okay, let's get into it. Alex and the other boys have decided to spin Oliver's final words, warning them against Troy as him just being bitter and jealous, which maybe there's some truth to it, but I don't think so completely because Troy sucks. Sophie asks Tom to sleep downstairs because she doesn't want to share a bed with him because she's afraid that she will be weak and go back to him. He is not that cute, okay? He is not. But she later says that actually she just wanted to test him and see if he would be a big baby about it or respect her choices. And he did respect her choices, so to be continued. Then they have a birthday party for Nathan. That's nice. And he gets to talk to his sister, and she meets Kara. It's all very sweet and boring. And then they go into the hideaway to do something more interesting, but no need to discuss that. In the morning, they get a text that there's going to be a recoupling and a dumping. Troy and his partner are immune, but I wish they weren't. And actually, that recoupling and dumping is going to be happening right now. So the couples we have, Katie and Scott staying together, Olivia and Alex staying together, Cara and Nathan staying together. Emma is going to pair up with Terry, as I'm sure you may have guessed. Troy is pairing up with Tina, poor Tina. Tom and Sophie are coupling up again. And Liana is going to be with Adam. Okay, we don't have anybody on the couch anymore now. Thank God everybody's coupled up. And you will notice that I have added Emma to Tom's and Tom to Emma's, just so that we remember that they did date. It was pre-show, but they did date. Sophie is warming back up to Tom after bare minimum respect and a nice speech about how, like, he'll do anything he can to change her mind. I mean, clearly she likes him. She was dating him like 2 days ago. They just recently broke up. But I just want better for her, okay? They do a dumb challenge that I fast forwarded straight through, but Tom and Sophie win, and Sophie is thrilled about that because she's really hoping they get to go to the hideaway. She wants to get out of that damn villa. Troy and Tina go on a date. It's rough. Maybe I should have watched the challenge because apparently Emma also won, and their prize is Emma and Sophie get champagne in the hot tub together. Me, if I'm the producers, trying to continually set them up. Yeah, for some reason they're doing that. I don't know. But Sophie does say that Emma's her favorite girl in the house. So at night, they get a text that they have to determine the weakest couples, and they're going to be doing this by voting within their couple, sending a secret vote for the 2 weakest. The couples with the most votes are Tom and Sophie, Liana and Adam, and that's it. They were the only ones who got voted for, and the public gets to choose one person from each of those couples to leave. Ooh, send this man home. And send that man home too. Send the men home. Sophie also decides at this point that she's going to take Tom back. I can't even pretend that I am thrilled. I am not. And after the vote at the smoking area, Troy is already being annoying to Tina and being like, have manners, blah, 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 being pissy, Tom vibes. Ugh. That night, Emma decides that it's time for her and Terry to get it on. And she mistakenly believes that if she does it outside of the covers, they will not be able to air it on national television. That's incorrect. So not only does everybody see it on national television, but all of the Islanders are subjected to it, like, fully. She's not in love with her choices the next morning, which checks out. She's 19. That's all part of it. I mean, not that specific thing, but making choices you regret, I would say. And everybody is talking shit about it the next day, and honestly, I can't blame them. They've just endured a very weird experience together. Some of them think it was just a bad choice. Some of them think that she was doing it for attention, maybe even Tom's attention. They're all coming up with theories about whether it was calculated or not, and the villa is splitting into Emma haters and pro Peace for the Villa people. Terry and Tom are beefing a little bit. Supposedly, he told Terry that he was just playing the game with Sophie, and so now Terry's feeling a little bit pissy since he's definitely talking shit about Emma. Tom claims that he was just trying to protect his feelings after Sophie broke up with him, and that he's just so worried that she's playing him. He's just a big softie. That's me if I cared. But I don't. I'm not buying it. Sorry, dude. And I wish I wasn't saying this, but Sophie is now Emma's #1 hater. Yes, it's true. She thinks Emma is trying to make Tom jealous. Girl, no. It's just not possible. For so many reasons. That night, we get the results of the couple votes. The bottom two, as I mentioned, are Liana and Adam, and Sophie and Tom. And Caroline goes ahead and twists the knife by telling them that everybody in the villa voted unanimously on them. They're all bummed, but they mostly understand, except Tom seems pissed because they're such a strong couple. You just got back together. No, you're not, but whatever. And then we get the public vote, which will save one person in each couple. And you know I was rooting for the girls. I was whooping. I was hollering. I was begging for these men to go. But who did the British public of 2016 choose to dump? They decided to dump Liana and Tom. Thank God. Woohoo. Yeah, that was a good one. That's a good one. Feel bad for Liana, though. My girl Liana needs some love. Tom and Sophie have this tearful goodbye, and he says he'll be waiting. And he also says he'll be watching. And honestly, I didn't like the way he said it. And he also tells Sophie that he loves her before she leaves. He whispers it during a hug, though, so she's able to pretend that she didn't hear that pretty much. Meanwhile, in the villa, Sophie says that Emma's game plan is ruined, and Emma is telling another group at the same time that while Tom isn't great, Sophie is nasty. And of course, the game plan comment is shared with Emma, so then they have a blow up fight. There's yelling and there's tears, and honestly, it's delectable. Sophie really doesn't like that both Emma and Terry are yelling at her, and so she tries to leave, but then she doubles back, but then she's forced to leave by the other Islanders because, neither of them are in the right here, honestly, and the conversation should have happened in the morning and not in the heat of the moment, but that's why we watch. Unfortunately for Sophie, though, Emma is now bringing out the worst in her. But a bit later, Sophie and Emma do have another chat, quieter this time. And I will say, Terry is correct in saying that Emma is very mature for being 19. But keep in mind that I'm saying this with no motives to sleep with a girl 10 years younger than me and pass that off as normal. And Sophie and Terry also have a chat to squash the beef, and Terry mentions what Tom told him about having no feelings for her. Whoops! But Sophie doesn't really believe him. One note that I don't think I mentioned earlier, but definitely adds to the general ambiance, is that they do play a lot of like classic 2016 songs in this season, but I don't know if it was like due to licensing or what. They only play like covers of them by like British artists and stuff. I don't know if they're all British, but they seem to be. So like Sophie is like crying, and then you hear a British woman singing like an acoustic version of Lean On by Major Lazer. It's wild. And they always try and find songs that are like direct lyric comparison to the exact situation at hand. It just makes everything a little bit funny. In the morning, Adam is already thinking maybe Sophie's ready to move on. Tom has not even been out 24 hours, but oh wait, Sophie is ready to mingle. I am absolutely giddy, especially when she says the she-wolf is back. Like, yes, come on, give us drama. Troy and Tina determined that they are actually just friends. Basically, Troy didn't feel he was getting what he wanted quick enough. I am going to sing when this man leaves. And then we get new Islanders auditioning. And let me just say, the girls put on quite a showing of 2016 fashion. Like, it was sending chills down my spine, but also nostalgic, you know? They do a blindfolded interview, and then they have some weird challenge where they kiss one of the Islanders as many times as possible while their partners watch. It's very weird. Who cares? And the girl they vote in is Katie. She's a glamour model, which I think just means like magazines and swimsuit covers and stuff. I like Katie. The girls are not immediately thrilled because the guy that she was kissing in that challenge was Alex. Yikes. But it does seem that mostly Adam is going for her, so not much to worry about. And I will say the one trait that I identified about Katie is that she is a sub through and through. That is based on the conversations I've heard her say. Like, she just wants to be dominated for some reason. Next, the guys audition. They do another weird challenge instead of the kisses thing, but all irrelevant. This guy is friends with Scott from Manchester, and he's also very salesy. He's big car salesman vibes. Anyways, after that, Olivia and Alex have a chat about how they both did the challenges with the New Islanders and how Alex is very well liked by the ladies. And listen, I feel for Olivia. My boyfriend is kind of fine, y'all. Like, I'm sorry. And you have to be trusting and confident for that. Two things which I don't feel that I am. And maybe Olivia isn't quite yet either, but we will try our best. And here's a twist. Katie, also bi, and sharing a bed with Sophie. Wow. Scott is also over the moon about this. Not in the same way as me. It's giving fetish. And it turns out that Sophie is exactly Katie's type. And Sophie is also ready to get back out there and have some fun. The twist is unfortunate for Adam, though, because Katie really was his next chance at love, and Sophie was the only other option, so... Oh, I feel so bad. Oh, she passed away? Oh, no. Anyways, the other new Islander, Adam J., he likes Tina, which is way less messy, so I'm not as interested in that. In the next episode, Irish Adam is trying to gauge Katie's interest in him, and she says that she's looking for a man specifically because she wants to get married and have kids, which of course we know women are notoriously not capable of doing. Right. She also said that she can't imagine herself walking the street holding hands with a woman. All right, internalized homophobia, go off. Yeah. And meanwhile, Adam is fetishizing bi girls, so that's really fun too. New Adam's strategy with Tina is basically to incorporate some sales techniques. Essentially, he is talking her ear off and just hoping that it gets him somewhere. That night, Sophie and Katie have a chance to get to know each other a little bit better because they are sharing a bed, and they both agree that they want a man, not a boy, and if they can't have a man, they'll take a woman. The thing is, Tom was very temperamental and Katie is very chill. So I feel like it's just for Sophie, she's like breathing a sigh of relief. Like she can finally like live her life and not be worried. And I love that for her. And in the morning, both new arrivals, these two, get to choose 3 people to go on dates with. Katie chooses Alex, but she's a girl's girl and she's very respectful. The date goes well, like they're definitely flirting into each other, and he says he's open, but then after Alex tells Olivia that he's not going to be swayed by that. Olivia does get kind of annoyed though because Katie says that she feels like she can't be friends with Olivia because she still thinks she has a shot with her man. And Olivia is like, if there's not a chance, then shut it down, Alex. And Alex does tell Katie it's a no, so we're all happy again there. Adam's first pick is Sophie. She seems not at all into that idea, but she does attend, although it is just boring. And for Katie's next date, she chooses Adam, the Irish Adam. It goes pretty well. And Manchester Adam chooses Olivia for his second date, purely for intel, or so he says. He wants to prep for his third date with Tina, but that's really just what he's telling Alex. As long as he's there with Olivia, he might as well shoot his shot. Maybe there's a chance. She's not into it, though. Not into it at all, but he does keep trying. And then Olivia tells Alex about it, and Alex gets pissed. And he kind of goes off on him, but very briefly. For the final date, Adam chooses Tina, and Katie chooses Sophie. And the girls are honestly all pretty annoyed that the boys are like being really weird and fetishy about these two going on a date. And Katie, she actually kills me. She gets so annoyed at Scott because he's like parading around like this is the best thing he's ever seen in the world to women going on a date. And she says, "Why are you getting excited? You're 28. Have you not been around gay people before? It's effing pathetic. It's not real life porn. It's people's relationships." Yes. And she's correct. And she is correct. Scott tries to play it off, claiming he just like likes the idea of 2 people who are really into each other and that sexuality has nothing to do with it. You're 20 and I'm 28. Like, how dare you tell me anything? But then in his interview, he's like, it's 2 girls. Of course I'm excited, but that doesn't make me a something that it does make him. Yeah, it does make you that. You're wrong. Anyways, point 1 for Katie. She may be slightly psychotic, but at least she's an ally. Luckily, Kara comes in cleanup crew and tells Nathan and the boys that like she finds it offensive too because they're making it seem like it's not normal and making them very uncomfortable. And back to the dates, Adam and Tina's date is uncomfortable, I would say. She heard everything from his date with Olivia and is thinking he's kind of arrogant, which is her number 1 turnoff apparently, so not looking good for him. Plus, the man does not stop talking. And he comes on pretty strong. But it's not, I guess it's not a total disaster. On Sophie and Katie's date, Katie says, girls are soulmates and boys are just for fun. So she's certainly playing the game in terms of making it clear what she's actually looking for because she's telling them 2 different things. And Katie also admits to Sophie that she's more interested in her than in the other dudes. And they kiss. And while they're doing that, Alex and Olivia have a sweet moment where they admit that they're really falling for each other and can see it working on the outside. The next day, they have a silly challenge. It's like a quiz game. Nothing really happens. Moving on. In the morning, they get a text about a recoupling that night. So people are kind of trying to figure out where they stand with each other. And while they do that, Scott and Terry go out on a little friend date. And they think they're about to meet some new girls. But, surprise, it's a trap. Malin shows up. Yeah, I guess I didn't fully tear her. So she's back, but not really. But she is back to confront Terry. She's been watching. And now she has questions, or at the very least, she has a lot of lecturing to do. So Scott's going to head out at this point, and Terry claims that he did nothing wrong and that she was smothering him. And he also said that he told her before she left that this was a test, which maybe he did, but their relationship failed the test. So Malin tells him that the public all think that him and Emma are playing a game. And I don't know what the British public saw at the time, but what I see is just two horny individuals, to be honest with you. But Terry wants her to know that he is having the time of his life. He's happy as a clam, and he doesn't want to waste any more brain cells on the discussion. So he just leaves. He's pretty pissed off by the situation, though, and he does call her a see you next Tuesday. But that is not what she is. That's what she's serving. And what is he bringing to the table? Oh, yeah. A pair of ripped jorts and a 19-year-old girlfriend at his big age of 28. So there's a winner and a loser, in my opinion. Or at least there's a loser. And now it's recoupling time. Scott and Katie stick together. They actually haven't been fighting much, so I have nothing to say at this time. Cara and Nathan stay together. Alex and Olivia stay together. Emma and Terry stay together. Katie picks Sophie. The crowd is deafening. Woohoo, woohoo. Yeah, we all wanted that. We did, except Adam, who is second choice for about the millionth time at this point. I mean, I don't like him, but I know that shit sucks. However, Tina swoops in and picks Adam over both Troy and her new potential interest, Adam. So she saves old Irish Adam from the dumping. Remember Troy? Yeah, he's still here. And now it's between him and Manchester Adam for the last spot in the villa, and they will be competing for that by going on a date with a new islander, and whoever she chooses will stay. And as you know, I detest Troy, and he starts talking about doing what he needs to do, basically just faking it with this girl, and he's prepared to silver screen this shit. He will do anything it takes to stay in this villa, even though he's not bringing 1 ounce of entertainment. Why are you even here? The new girl, Lauren, is an event manager and a part-time model. It's so late in the game that honestly, I can't be bothered to learn anything new about her because guess what? Doesn't matter. She will be gone before you know it. In fact, Troy went on a date with her and couldn't even remember her name. However, the date with Troy does go well for her, and the date with Manchester Adam also goes well. She even has the guts to tell him that she hates his white jacket. Thank God someone said it. However, Manchester Adam, he does get the girl in the end, though. He lives to see another day in the villa, and better than that, Troy is on his way out. I know that was bad. I've never claimed to be a good singer, but I did say I was going to sing when he left. It gives me great pleasure to do this. The next day, they do the tweet challenge. Basically, fill in the blanks, but it's tweets about them. Here's the highlights of the dramatic ones / also the accurate ones, and you can guess which are which. Scott and Katie won't last. Alex is going to dump Olivia when they get out. Sophie is being hypocritical for getting mad at Terry about the Mullen situation and then getting with Katie, which is similar. And then they also were telling on Alex for saying different things to Olivia and Katie when he was going on a date with Katie. So unfortunately, Sophie and Olivia are the 2 newest residents of Struggle City. They moved in right after the challenge. I'm thrilled to have them as neighbors, but weirdly they seem very sad, and I'm sad for them. The hypocrite tweet really got to Sophie, and now she's really missing Tom. Well, I don't know. I don't think she's really missing Tom. I think she's feeling guilty and feels like she has to be with him and doesn't want to be a hypocrite, but whatever. She thinks she's missing Tom. When Sophie tells her that, Katie is pretty upset by it because why didn't she say that before Katie had to pick somebody? That would have been useful information. Unfortunately, Sophie also let slip that basically her plan post Tom's departure was just to do whatever she could to stay until the end. And you know that doesn't go down well with anybody. Sophie is still in the villa now, but she's not interested in anybody. And that makes sense to absolutely no one, but no worries, we'll just move on. And luckily for Katie, Irish Adam is happy to console her for this loss. He was just waiting next in line, and he is more than happy to step up in the queue. Now, checking in with the other Struggle City civilian, Miss Olivia, she is also very much letting the tweets get to her, especially because this is all stuff that she's worried about. Him wanting other girls and not telling her about it. Him dumping her after he gets out of the villa. So what does she do? She is pushing him away and spiraling. It's a classic move, and I've got to say, I'm with her on this one. What else are you supposed to do? What else are you supposed to do? I know that's a question for my therapist, but seriously, what would a well-adjusted person do in that situation? Would they not do that? If you're well-adjusted, feel free to inform me in the comments, but is anybody who's watching the video this long really that well-adjusted? The answer may be no, but I am right there with you because I'm the one filming this shit. They do end up making up though, mainly because they're both pretty mature and level headed. Alex is just like so understanding and gentle and patient, and he reassures her so well. Like I said, this is the YN fantasy, and she is living it out. Honestly, men should study these conversations that they have because he's doing it correctly. Scott also asks Katie to be his girlfriend promposal style with a bunch of towels, like spelling it out. It's cringe, but good for them. We're headed into the final week, so now we are getting lots of sappiness. I will tell you what happens, but we're pretty much going to skate right over it because who cares? Well, one of my lights just broke in the process. Maybe you could like, subscribe, comment in order for me to get a new light. In episode 38, it turns out that Katie actually is not over this whole Sophie situation. Katie has a lot of valid questions, honestly. For example, why did you kiss her on the date if you were still in love with Tom? That's a pretty good question. Also, why did you let her stand up there and choose you, especially as she is basically outing herself on national television by choosing a girl if you weren't really that into it? And also, most importantly, why did it only come up after the tweets? Katie's point is not that Sophie is playing a game, or at least I don't think that it is. I think her point is just that Sophie's not actually into Tom. She's just scared of the public reaction. And she's rightfully very upset because it seems like she trusted Sophie and then chose basically the hardest path she possibly could on this show, only for Sophie to be like, oh, this is all a game. It's no big deal to me, when I don't think that that's even the truth. I love Sophie. I love her, but this really is her lowest moment on the show. And they all really turn on Sophie at this point, except for Tina, which is kind of a weird alliance that I didn't really see beforehand, but she's the only one that still is like nice to her pretty much. I don't know. I think when she was with Tom, anything bad that happened, anything toxic that she did when they were having fallings out and stuff, I think everybody just assumed that was because Tom and Sophie brought out the worst in each other. But now Tom's not here and Sophie's still kind of doing some toxic stuff. So they're starting to think that that's just how she is. At the end of the day, they all kind of like leave it and move on. And they've just decided they're all going to pretty much ignore her. Although I don't really think that the ignoring is meant to be mean. I think it's just that like they don't want to talk about that stuff and they aren't on her side. So why would they talk to her about it? Like it's just going to make her upset. But the next day, all of the pairs get a dog to take care of for the day and do like an agility course with them. So that's fun. Manchester Adam also decides to friend zone Lauren because she's not hot enough for him. She's not hot enough for him. That's correct. And I know that some of y'all are going to think he's cute, but come on. The hair, the outfits. Look up some of those outfits. Tell me you can get past that. The constant talking, this man needs to quiet down, literally and figuratively. And finally, Sophie decides that it's time to get the hell out of here. For real this time. Bye, bestie. Yeah, unfortunately, it was not a great ending for her, but we still give her a big thank you for all of the good time. And now that she's gone, Katie is getting to know the Irish Adam. Yes, except they don't really have any time for this because they're already doing another recoupling and it's the final recoupling. The new girl and Manchester Adam are immune from this dumping, which I guess good for them because they definitely would have been the ones eliminated. So it's all up to Irish Adam and he chooses Katie. So Tina's going home. We don't have too long to dwell on Tina's departure, though, because now we're doing the lie detector test, and the girls get to write questions for their partner, so you know it's going to be good. And obviously, lie detectors are not very accurate. It has to do with your heart rate, so anybody with anxiety is going to mess that stuff up. And also, they're talking about people that they have feelings for, so that's obviously going to impact it as well. Plus, we all know the producers are pulling some strings. But here's the things of importance we learn. Terry says that it is not a showmance with Emma, but also admits that he misses his ex. I'm assuming not Mullen, but some other girl. Manchester Adams certainly is listening to Brave by Sarah Bareilles because that man is just letting those words fall out. And honestly, I love seeing him be brave. He admits that he's only on Love Island for fame and women, which fair enough, they all are. I will say, I think pretty much everybody goes on Love Island for fame, money, a free vacation, whatever, a summer fling. And honestly, those are the most sane individuals on there. And that's why they usually actually find love, weirdly. Like, there's way more successful couples from Love Island than other TV shows, I think, because they're not actually taking this shit seriously. They don't actually think that they would find love on a reality television show because that wouldn't be very sound thinking. And I'm sorry, but like people who actually think that, like you're a little delulu, and that's probably going to hinder any relationship you have, anyways. But the people who go on who just kind of wanted fame or money or whatever, sometimes they actually find somebody that's also cool and normal that they like and also wants to be famous. So it kind of just works out. I don't know. There's something to that. Irish Adam is also being very honest, and he admits that he's not a loyal partner, which I don't think Katie cares. Scott does not trust Katie, but he also says he'll be loyal. He does have a couple lies here and there, but I think his heart rate was just up because they probably give each other a lot of anxiety. And unfortunately, same thing for our king, Alex. He has almost every single question be a lie, and every single question is something that Olivia is worried about. In fact, the only one I think that is actually like true that he does is about liking attention from girls. Obviously, Olivia is really upset by this, although she keeps her cool pretty well as usual, but she is like visibly shaking. I don't know if it's from rage or anxiety, but who can blame her either way? But again, I think that that was set up or it was anxiety or something because it was very clear that he did mean the things that he was saying and he was not lying. And he's clearly close to tears during the whole process. Like he can see the way it's going and maybe that it's even set up. And afterwards, he like goes and cries by himself. And listen, I know men cry to manipulate sometimes. Trust me, I've seen it. But in this case, I really think he was crying because he knew that it was such a setup and he felt like he had let Olivia down so much. And he cares. Like, he really cares, okay? I know that I don't trust a blonde man, but this is the one that I do. They make up though, guys. Don't worry. Honestly, they're a really good relationship model. And I know that some of y'all are going to look at me funny for saying that because they're Love Island contestants, but they really are. And then Katie and Irish Adam go on a date. It goes really well. They actually have really good banter. And then they get a surprise in the villa that night. And the surprise is fake babies that they have to take care of. Some of them succeed more than others. Some of them enjoy it more than others. We do have some women in male-dominated fields who don't give a shit about that baby and have zero intention of caring for it. And it's a little fun to watch the subversion of roles. Also, guys, I don't mean to be giddy like a teenager over this man, but it is almost impossible when he says, well, I didn't have a dad growing up, so I want to be the best dad possible. My heart grew 3 sizes like the motherfucking Grinch, okay? I have heart stretch marks from this man. And also, additionally, he's going to name that child Renesmee. Yes, to honor Twilight. It's a gorgeous choice. Cara and Nathan win, although it felt a little rigged to me, but whatever. They get to go on a date, which is great for them. The other couples, though, are talking shit about Nathan and Cara and saying, like, they haven't been tested. And what I think that they don't realize is that you can be tested in your mind talking to people and not act on it. And actually, that's you passing the test, not being tempted and like flirting with them a ton and then like contemplating leaving your partner. I think that that's like a C on the test. The A on the test is you talk to somebody, realize you like your partner more from the beginning, and talk to them platonically only. Hello? Am I the only person with any sanity? At night, Caroline, the host, shows up to dump 2 couples and announce the finalists. And we will have a moment for the fallen. Obviously, Manchester, Adam, and Lauren. We didn't see any of them. We don't even know them. But also, the second couple to go is, believe it or not, Terry and Emma. Yes, it's true. The British public felt that Katie and Irish Adam were a better couple than Emma and Terry. Maybe some people weren't as cool with him dating a 19-year-old one day after his girlfriend left as he thought. Now we have episode 42. This is the episode where all the family visit. Well, they're not all family, but some of them are friends. They're close enough. Katie and Scott's families both love them together, and Scott's aunt is very thirsty for Alex, which is just so real. Adam's sister does the jumping straddle hug. Yikes. But they are glad that he chose Katie over Tina. Olivia's family loves Alex, and Alex says that Olivia's mom is beautiful, and if Olivia looks like that when she's older, I'll be a happy man. Like, Y'all don't get it. It is so hard to be a cold, bitter person when people are being nice like this. It's like actually changing my perception of the world around me. And bonus, he loves his mom, but not in a creepy way. It's kind of hard to find these days. And also, apparently, his mom told him to go for Olivia before he went in. Nathan's family loves Kara. Kara's family loves Nathan. And Nathan even says that Kara's dad is the perfect father in law. Very sweet. At night, they do a birthday party for Kara. It's circus themed and they all dress up like clowns. And I really only bring up that theme because Katie is very afraid of clowns. And she literally cries at one point because Nathan is messing with her dressed like a clown. It's actually hilarious. And then they get a text to choose a couple for the hideaway. And they choose Adam and Katie. Yeah, that random, but okay. They do get pretty heated in there, but Adam doesn't want to go all the way because he has this dream of being a WWE wrestler in the US. And he's smart enough to know that doing that on national television might not go over that well since we're not the most sex positive nation. But silly Adam, you forgot about the boys will be boys and men can't control themselves loopholes. In fact, I'd say you can go even farther than WWE. If you have citizenship and an American accent, I think you could even make it in the government here. And for my male viewers, if you do exist, I just want to let you know that I do believe that you can control yourself. Some of your other fellow men and even the system that you created might not, but I believe that men can do anything that women can do, and I would never have such a low opinion of you. Moving on, episode 43, the next day, they get a text that they're going to have a ball that night. So the boys learn ballroom dancing, the girls go dress shopping, and they all write out speeches that they want to say to their partner. A couple of the highlights, Nathan tells Kara that he loves her, and Alex and Olivia make it official. And then we get the finale, and we get to figure out who won. So in fourth place, we have Adam and Katie. Third place, Scott and Katie. Second place, Alex and Olivia. And Nathan and Kara win. So then we do the love versus money test. So they each get an envelope. Kara's envelope has 50,000 pounds in it. Nathan's has nothing. So then Kara gets to decide whether she'll keep the money for herself or if she'll split it with Nathan. And she decides to split it with him because they love each other. So that is season 2. I would like to point out that Kara and Nathan, married, children. Alex and Olivia, married, children. I don't know about the rest of them, but I do know those 2 things because I keep up. Anyways, if you watched this whole video, you are wonderful and I applaud your abilities to watch long form content. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, follow me on my other socials, and most importantly, subscribe, okay? My boyfriend had a gaming channel in high school with 2,500 subscribers, so my first goal is obviously 3K. Come on, guys. Women need this win. And with that being said, I will see y'all next time. Love you. Bye.